So I was tired of sitting on the floor, and I thought, why not pull out the old stool that I used to sit on to film my videos? And then I realized that this stool is high enough that to get a good angle, you'd get to see all of the mess on the other side of my bed. Hello my lovely friends, it's Margaret. Welcome back to my channel. I am here to talk about some of the things that I have learned in the last 5 years of doing BookTube. First off, let me state what this is not going to be. This is not going to be a how-to video. I'm not going to sit down and talk to you about how I make my thumbnails. I'm not going to talk to you about like well, I will. You know, my number one BookTube tip is to film in clips. It makes your life so much easier, and it makes editing seem so much less daunting when you've just got like 5 little 5-minute clips instead of one like 30-minute clip with all of your hms and haws and like that time that you had to go and find the book from somewhere because it was downstairs, or you left it in the car, or you forgot the character's name and had to go on your phone and look it up. That's my technical tip for y'all. There you go. Really, I'm gonna kind of talk about some more, I guess, existential stuff, more mindset stuff. Just some stuff that I've kind of figured out and feel like maybe it would make your journey a little bit easier if you're thinking of this going forward from the beginning, like you know what you're getting into. I do just want to point out, I found the notebook that I first came up with my channel name in. This has got all kinds of stuff in it, like the first notes for the first ever Vaultathon. These are the notes that I took for Renegade. Why there was no writing on the actual page, I'm not sure. If we go back a few pages, you will find the first time I ever wrote down my channel name. Anyways, let's get into what I am here to talk to y'all about. I've got some tea, and we're just gonna have a little like chatty discussion. I don't have a lot of notes. It's just like one page of some points that I want to hit, 5 things that I want to talk to you guys that I learned in 5 years of doing BookTube. These are gonna go in order from like, I guess, least important to most important, the one that I think is most impactful for me personally. But I want to start out with, you don't need to be making money from your hobby to buy shit for it. I think a lot of people understand that in a lot of other hobbies, but then we get into stuff that's on like YouTube, that stuff that's like Instagram, anything that's on social media, and suddenly there's kind of this expectation, and this expectation definitely comes from hustle culture, which I am very much not a fan of. I don't think people need to be working on things that make money. Not everything needs to be monetized and bringing in income for it to be worthwhile or valuable. But the point that I'm trying to get is that like I kind of realized that, you know, I love for my videos to be able to pay for the things that I have for them. When I started it like with bare bones. I was on a Chromebook because my last laptop had died on me. It literally, I think I got 2 videos out. Actually, no, it might have died on me when I was editing. It died on me when I was editing either my very first video or my second video. And so all of my videos, I think all of my videos were edited on this online editor called WeVideo. And if you've been on my Twitter for a while, you'll know I absolutely hated that freaking program. Like, it was a video editing program, barely. I spent so much time like going, but it's not, like, I'm not making any money off of my channel. Eventually, it kind of got to the point where I was like, okay, I cannot make the kind of content that I want to make if I am dependent on this very basic, very sad, very glitchy online program. And so I finally just broke down and got myself a new computer. And for the first time in my life, I got myself a computer that cost money. I wanted something where I wasn't dependent on Google Drive. But it was so funny the first time I sat down and started working in Adobe, and this is a brand new program I'm using, and there's a learning curve, but the program, it was this is the, if you're a horse person, you may get this metaphor, but I was like, I realized I'd been trying to run the Kentucky Derby on a quarter horse instead of a thoroughbred. Because between the computer having a much better graphics card and processing and all of that, and Adobe Premiere Pro being a program that is very obviously meant to like edit videos, it's a few dollars more per month, but the amount of stress that I am no longer dealing with now that I know I can edit regardless of what my internet connection looks like, and I'm using a program that 99% of the time actually works. It is amazing. I do want to recognize the amount of financial privilege that I have in being able to get these, because I do not have to pay rent. I do pay rent, but like I don't have to pay the normal amount of rent that people are taking. and the fact that like I was able to get the camera that I have gifted to me, so I was able to put money towards getting a better computer, and getting, you know, being able to pay. I mean, honestly, if I could have gotten, I would have gotten Adobe much sooner if I had had a computer you could download stuff on. So I want to recognize that there is an amount of financial privilege there. But I think that this is something that can be applied to a lot of different things that you can do to make your videos better. Yeah, camera quality, all of that stuff, it does have an effect on how long people watch you, all of that stuff. But for me, it was just about like being able to feel good about my videos and being able to make videos that looked the way that I wanted them to look. Even though, you know, I'm not making any money off of these. I'm not monetized. I don't know when I will ever get to 1,000 subscribers. Like I said, I would love to get to a point where like my book hobby and my YouTube hobby are paying for each other, where I'm, you know, being able to make money off of it and reinvest that into my channel. Is that going to happen? I don't know. I don't have any idea when that's going to happen. If you are able to, now that's the key part. If you are able to, I got to a point where I was able to do these things. If you're able to save up the money, if you're able to make these changes, don't wait for some like arbitrary milestone. Well, I guess making money isn't really an arbitrary milestone, but like don't wait for some milestone. Don't wait for a certain subscriber count. If it will make you happier doing BookTube, if it will make it easier for you to edit videos, if it will make you look at your footage and like what you see better, just do it. Another thing that I learned being on BookTube for the last 5 years is it taught me social media skills. Granted, I don't really put a lot of effort into most of my social media. Like, I haven't touched my Instagram in forever, but I did have to learn how to take a good picture of a book on Instagram. I did have to learn how to make certain things for stories when I was doing certain things on there. What I'm trying to say here is that, like, I never would have sat down to learn SEO stuff. I never would have sat down to learn how to make thumbnails or how to edit videos or any of that stuff to the level that I know how to do if it were not for BookTube. Yeah, there's not much to say on this particular one, but I do appreciate that, like, you know, I don't think all of the stuff that you learn on social media or on YouTube, etc., about how to make YouTube videos and how to promote your work necessarily works for BookTube. I don't think we're an exception, but I think that you have to take a little bit different kind of thought process, a little bit different track. But I am really grateful for the skills that I have had to develop because I want my videos, or I'm trying to get my videos to do better. Whether or not that always happens, you don't know. Third thing I want to say is it is okay to do things in your own time. And this is something that I really do struggle with because I am someone who wants to be able to set deadlines. I am someone that wants to be able to get my TBR up on the 1st of the month and have my, you know, my wrap up at a certain time. But also you have to kind of, like, I was stressing my out. I had to recognize that I was stressing myself out on some of those things. I was stressing myself out on trying to always be current and always be relevant. And yeah, TBRs get more views if you post them at the very beginning of the month. But at the same time, the function of a TBR for me is not necessarily for me to be able to say, hey, I'm going to read these books and have people watch the video. The thing that I found really useful about a TBR is I read more when I make them. Even if I don't read, usually, ignore that July happened. Ignore that July happened. Usually, when I make a TBR, I may not read any of the books on the TBR, but it still motivates me to think about what I'm going to read and what I want to read, and ends up with me picking up a book, some book. And I found that when I don't do them, I tend to not pick up as many books or think about reading as much. Same thing with some of the ideas that I've gotten. Like, I have ideas for skits and things that I want to do, but just not the right time. They still need to stew a little bit in my brain. That part is a little bit easier because I'm used to, as a writer, letting things stew. There is a benefit, that's the word I was looking for earlier. There is a benefit for being like first on things, but don't feel like you have to be there first. You can sit down and you can look at the idea and be like, you know, I'm not ready for this yet. I don't think that I've, you know, got this fully formed. I'm not entirely sure how I want to do it. Like, you don't have to be the first to do something. You can do it when you're ready to do it. And a lot of the time that will end up leading to better content. Like, there's an entire readathon that I am planning on doing eventually, and I keep putting off because I'm just not in the headspace to do the planning for it. Speaking of readathons, speaking of things, my TBR game. If you guys haven't seen it, Fabelin drives me nuts every month because I am terrible at it, but it's so much fun at the same time. But I launched my TBR game at the end of 2021. Time is fake, and I have a hard time with it. This is after 2 years of having wanted to do a TBR game, but I could never come up with an idea that I liked. What game is going to be me? What can I do that works with my personality? I don't want it to be something that I'm just doing to do a TBR game. I want it to be something that is going to express some of my personality, that is going to allow me to be creative. It's going to allow me to be myself, and something that's going to click with who I am and what my, I guess, brand is. And then I did a readathon in July of last year that was kind of like a choose your own, I called it a choose your own adventure readathon. And I was like, what if I took this choose your own adventure idea and turned it into a TBR game? From there, eventually, we got to Fabelin. We also got to an entire D&D obsession that's we're still there. We're still there. We've been there since November of 2021. Have fun waiting for me to get out of that phase, because, like, yeah, have fun with that. My poor friends, they think they have gotten out of playing D&D with me. I'm just waiting until I have the mental fortitude to be able to sit down and do some DMing again. And that actually ties in to my second point. The number 2 thing, that makes it sound like it's such a bad thing, but the second most important thing that I feel like I have learned in my 5 years on BookTube is make stuff like you are a big channel. And I'm not talking about, like, editing quality. I'm not talking about having effects in your videos, or this, that, and the other thing. I'm talking about when you have an idea. And I'll use Vaultathon as an example for this. When I first came up with the idea for Vaultathon, there was a part of me that was like, but I've only got, like, I think 300, 500 subscribers. I was at least half the subscribers that I was. I could probably find that out, but I'm not going to. You need to shut up, sir. Do you think if I just screamed out the window at the bird, it would stop? But then my parents would be very worried about me, and I'd have to explain why I was screaming out the window. You get to deal with it. I cannot control nature. So when I came up with the idea of Vaultathon, I was like, oh, but I'm just such a little bitty, itty bitty baby BookTube channel. No one is going to do it. Going to see it. Who's gonna, like, nobody's gonna pay attention to Vaultathon if I am the one doing it, because I'm so small. And then I was like, but I like this idea, so what if I just did it anyways? I can't say that it really, like, brought people to my channel in droves. What it did do, though, was give me, like, I kid you not, some of my best friends on BookTube are my best friends because they applied to be Vaultathon hosts. I had so much fun doing that readathon, and no, it didn't get quite the amount of attention that I would have liked or that I felt it deserved, yada yada yada, but at the end of the day, like, it was an experience, and I really was glad that I took the time to do it. I've read so many books that are very, very good. Maybe now that Vaultathon is over, I should do a ranking video of, like, the books that I read for Vaultathon. Someone remind me that I had that idea. If I hadn't have done Vaultathon, we never would have had the Avengers Initiative Reading Challenge either, because all of those co-hosts I met or got close to because we were doing a round of Vaultathon. We were all on one specific round of Vaultathon and started talking about Avengers stuff. Here we are, 2 years later, with this, having done this for 2 years. And I will say, I think that one did bring me a few subscribers. That one probably has had a very significant impact on my account. So I know it's tempting to be like, I'm not a big enough channel for this to have the impact that I want it to have. And, like, just do it. If you have an idea that you really like, now definitely take the time to make it the idea that you want it to make. Honestly, if I could go back and do it again, I would have done Vaultathon a little bit later. I would have taken some more time to plan, etc., etc. I never really did put the amount of effort that I would have liked into Vaultathon, because it was always one of the things that I was like, oh yeah, Vaultathon's coming. I've got to do this. But I'm still glad I did it. It did still help me make friends. It still led to some really fun experiences, and some really fun books that I read. And why are we on here on this website doing this thing called BookTube if it's not to read some fun books? And we're at the final little point. We're at the final point that I wanted to say. This is the most important thing that, this is one that I do struggle with, but it is something that, like, it's why I'm still doing this, because if it wasn't, I would have given up at this point. Also, I'm stubborn. The most important thing that I feel like I've learned about YouTube in general and BookTube and stuff is that you gotta do it for yourself. If I was doing this because I was in it for the watch time or the subscribers, or because I thought I wanted to, at the end of the day, like the most important thing for me was like getting monetized, etc., 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 now I wouldn't be doing this anymore, because YouTube is, and I don't think the algorithm is the enemy. I simply think the algorithm is impartial to some extent, and I think that it is not on the side, I know they say they're making some changes, but I don't think it's on the side of smaller creators. I don't think it's set up because it's an algorithm, because it's social media. I don't think that it is, especially now with how many people are on YouTube, it is very hard to grow on this channel. It just is. You do have to spend some time convincing people that your channel is worth it, that you're worth them giving your time, and I understand all of that. But like, success is not guaranteed, despite what all of the YouTube gurus want to tell you. Like, if you do these 5 things, if you do this to your thumbnail, blah, 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 it is not guaranteed. I also do want to recognize here, once again, that I do have some privilege, in this case specifically white privilege, because the color of my skin is not working against me in the algorithms, which we know, I don't know if they've maybe gotten some of that bias out, but audience and algorithm bias does lead to people of color's channels growing much more slowly. Really, it's all on me that my channel is not as big as I would like it to be. Like, at the end of the day, make stuff you enjoy, and I mean, if you want to grow, don't like completely ignore, hey, how can I make this so that it's going to be something that is more likely to be viewed? How can I structure my videos better? How can I do better intros, which I still suck at? Those are still good things to think about when you're making the video, because whether you want to be monetized or not, whether you want 1,000 subscribers or not, or 4,000 watch time, or you want to be the most popular YouTuber or not, you still want people to watch your stuff. You still want people to engage with your stuff, but the core of it, you need to be making what you want to make and what you enjoy and stuff that you feel passionate about, and you need to do it for yourself. They're going to give you something like, you should do it for yourself because at the end of the day, like, yourself is, you're the person you have to live with or whatever. Do it for yourself, because this is not a very rewarding platform. It's very hard to start on here. I will forever be kicking myself for not starting my channel in 2012 when I first had the idea to start a channel. Would it have been a BookTube channel? I don't know. But I didn't, and I'm here, and I'm doing YouTube now in 2022, having started in 2017. Math. And all in all, it's still been a relatively positive experience. Is it frustrating to see people who started after me do really, really well and just like skyrocket? Yes, it is. But I'm not mad at them, because I recognize that, like, I'm gonna be honest, success on YouTube is a lot about who you know and who is willing to stand up and promote your videos. That is a lot of what I have seen when you see someone now that grows relatively quickly, and gets into the tens of thousands of followers very quickly. It is because a larger channel has promoted their video, has promoted their work. I've seen this happen with several booktubers where, like, the big channels will, like, become friends with them or find their content and, like, shout them out, and suddenly you're looking at a channel that just got tens of thousands of subscribers. Once you get to the first 100 subscribers, it's much easier to get the subsequent subscribers. I've been told that once you get past 1,000 subscribers, getting more subscribers after that becomes easier. So the more subscribers you have, the easier it is going to be to get more watch time, get more subscribers, all of that. A lot of it is chance. You have control over some stuff, but a lot of it is chance and who finds you and who sees you and whether or not you did the BookTube newbie tag. If you're watching this because you're thinking about starting a BookTube channel, do the BookTube newbie tag, because I didn't and I regret it, because that's how a lot of people find new booktubers. Yeah, it is frustrating to see people who don't have the best lit videos or have terrible audio quality or yada yada yada, like, doing really well. And sometimes knowing it's because of when they started and not necessarily the quality of their content. I can't say that of any of the big booktubers that I watch, because they all make quality content. You're gonna see that. You're gonna have to deal with that. And if you sit down and you make it about, like, specifically, like, if you make it at the center about meeting certain milestones and doing specific goals instead of making it about making the content that you want to create, and reading the books that you want to read. Granted, it's definitely, like, helps to read some of the popular books, but like also read the books that you want to read, because more people need to talk about those books as well. I'll be honest, I'm not looking for a lot of booktubers that are reading all the popular books, because I've already follow a lot of booktubers that are reading all the popular books. I want people who are gonna like expose me to books that I would not have heard of if I were not following their channel. I was going somewhere with that, and once again, this is why I went to school for acting and not public speaking. They tell you exactly what you have to say. I am out of tea, and also I think almost out of memory card. Yeah, at the end of the day, make sure that at the core, at the center of it, you are making stuff that you enjoy. You are making videos that you want to watch. Like, I don't make my vlogs because I think they're going to get a lot of views. Occasionally, I do think maybe they will. But I actually, like my Utah vlog, I put that up because I wanted those memories to be edited. I wanted to have access to that vlog. I wanted to be able to see all of that stuff. It's there for the memories. It's not there for the views, if that makes sense. Don't get me wrong. I am a Capricorn. I like sitting down, looking at numbers, and figuring out how can I get more people to watch this video when I have the... Amazon Prime is like going crazy today. They're probably getting caught up on all the videos on all the deliveries they couldn't make on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Honestly, that's what's going on now. At the end of the day, make stuff you like and have a thought to how is it going to play in the algorithm. Is it going to be what, you know, people are going to click on? Is it going to keep people's attention? Is it going to have like what title, what thumbnail is going to get me the, like, think about those things. Definitely look at trends and stuff and see what you would want to make out of that. But like, yeah, I just like didn't do very well when I was making views and watch time the center of my expectations for my videos. And so now my primary kind of thought process is, do I want to make this? Okay. How can I get this to get as many views as possible? Yeah, that's this weird rambly video. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for those of you that have been here, especially those of you that have been here from the beginning. Shout out to my first subscribers. That first 100 felt like it took forever, and then here we are 5 years later. So thank you so much to everyone who has watched my channel over the years. I am planning on continuing to make videos. Obviously, this is not a goodbye. I really appreciate you guys. I'm really happy to sit here and talk about books with you. If you like this video, that's how we do our outros. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Sound off down in the comments. What are some of the things that you have learned about BookTube or YouTube? Like, you don't have to have a channel. Even if it's just an observation that you have learned, go ahead and do that. If you are not feeling chatty, go ahead and leave me, give me a book and a camera emoji since it's BookTube. If you want to see where all of this started, I did do a reaction video to my very first video ever on my channel with some of my friends where we just made fun of Past Margaret. That is it for now, my friends. Happy reading, and I will see you later when we will talk about more wordy, nerdy things. Bye! Still with the finger guns. I have tried to stop, and it's just ingrained in my personality at this point. I'm so sorry.